kindergartens here, the cadence is a little slower for the little ones.
I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Douglas? Yes. Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez? Yes. Mrs. Kurtzbacher, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Christopher, do we have any correspondence?
Yes, we do. It's from Jennifer Engelbrecht, formerly Ms. Jennifer Whitford, our fourth grade teacher. Harmony 175 district staff, school board, and admin, thank you so much for the wedding wishes. Our June 27th wedding was much different than planned, but more perfect than we had ever imagined. Alex and I appreciate your warm wishes and look forward to a crazy, fun lifetime together.
Very sweet.
Congratulations.
Okay, reports and informational items, superintendent's report.
Yeah, and before we get into official school business, I do want to congratulate, great segue into wedding wishes. But on the 19th of this month, our very own Miss Kuntz is now Mrs. Lunds. So congratulations to Krista. She took a huge step in the last name with one letter change. So be a lot of paperwork to change a K to an L. But congratulations. So if you guys ever see emails coming soon from Mrs. Lunds, you know who that is. And I'm going to go a little bit backwards here on the superintendent's report from the agenda. We're going to get into the district audit while Denny's here because he's got to get going. There were a few things that came out, and Rob, if there's more questions too, but I'll address some of the things that came out from the audit. There were no findings in the audit, so everything's in good shape with the audit. However, a couple of things just to point out. On page 10, and again, these are some of the things from Rob, who's our finance chair. But on page 10, on the first paragraph, it talks about government-wide and fund financial statements. And you'll see it actually throughout the audit, it says no business interest. And so the question was brought out, what about things that we do with Minta, Queen of Peace, that we offer services, we offer meals, we offer busing in time. All of those are still considered governmental activities. We are a governmental body as a school district. So unless we set up a business in-house in school year that started selling t-shirts, I don't know, and it wasn't a fundraiser thing, and Denny try to help me if I'm right, but even if we were to rent out our buses, which we do, we field trips to other schools and we profit of it, that's still a governmental activity. That's not business activity. So everything we do by law is governmental. We can't have a business operation in the school. So that's what they talked about in the audit a few times, that we own no business interest or business activities. We can't for one, but everything we do is governmental related. So things like Minta and things like Queen of Peace, we have intergovernmental MOUs with them that we sign every year that dictates the terms, talks about price and how much they're going to pay us for meals. But those are also governmental activities. I missed anything on that, Denny?
Nope.
Going on page 12, something that highlighted, if anybody looked at it like, oh my God, that is a massive overdraft. It talks about having an overdraft of $2 million. Overdraft in terms of the school budget is not like your bank statement. If you overdraft, you get like a $20 fee attached on. $2 million to be a heck of a fee. No, it's talking about the expenditures we have versus the checking and the investment accounts. The past year and a half, we've had quite a bit of money that we've had in reserves that we've put into investment accounts. And so our funds have been healthy, and we pay bills as they come in and expenditures as they come in through those funds. But in the document of the books, it looks like we're spending more money than what our account says it is, but it's not. It's a clerical kind of, you even say we could do a journal entry type thing, but our funds are not overdrafted. We have the money in there. But how their language is, it talks about overdraft as any deficit from the account, but it's not. It's where the money is in terms of the investment accounts versus the checking accounts.
And I would add two things.
Yep.
One is, remember, we've got 9 funds, and when they talk about an overdraft, it wasn't that our checking account was overdrafted. They're saying that on June 30th, of the money that we had in checking, It wasn't enough to cover all 9 funds if we had to write a check on them today. The rest of that money was in investments. So I asked the auditor, I said, so is this a yellow flag, an orange flag, a red flag, what? He goes, is there something less than a yellow flag? I said, a green flag. He said, that's what it is. It's a nothing. You're fine.
Okay. Questions on any of those two so far? All right, then I'm going 2 more pages on page 14, in note 4. It talks about the TIF funds, and Robert asked the question, why do we put all the TIF funds in the education fund? We're allowed, you can put it either in the ed fund, or you can put it in operations and maintenance. For quite some time now, our O&M has been pretty healthy. The ed fund is where the vast majority of our business runs out of. So that's our salaries, benefits, that's our personnel, the teaching, what we're doing for the students, in terms of curriculum, that's all in ed fund. And so for quite some time and many years, we've always put the TIF revenue money that we get directly into the ed fund. Now, if there was a reason that O&M wasn't healthy and we were deficit spending in that, and we needed to put some money, we could. But additionally, the ed fund is also the most flexible of the accounts. So putting that money in there, you can transfer to other funds if needed with a one-time transfer, but it's the fund we needed the most. So we've always just put TIF money and the revenue from TIF directly into the ed fund.
Is it only those two funds that you can put it in?
Yep.
Okay. That's what kind of got me a little bit confused, considering that the property taxes, for example, cover more than just those 2 funds.
Yeah.
So.
And so, and I know we had a discussion last year, like on the investment. This is kind of a good thing too. When we did the investment accounts, that money was all just being put into ed fund, but the investment is really cumulative of all the accounts put together. So Denny had a breakout percentage of what each fund was, and our investment money was then broken up by that percentage into each account. But then the TIF money, it's O&M and ed fund. There is a typo, page 16. There's nothing substantial. The money and the budget lines are all right, but they use the template year after year, just change the numbers. 2018 should be 2019. So the money is the same, and none of the line items will change from that, but it should say 2019. So Rob, you're right, it is a typo on that. And then there's on page 18, some things about BASC. Robert, you want to touch on that real quick with the BASC?
Yeah, and basically the basket itself, we've already talked about it, that how our debt and everything has changed, but that was after the end of the audit period. So what they have in here is correct for what it was there for that previous time. But just kind of a thing for us to remember as a board, that has changed and turned into effect anything going forward as far as how or what portion of the funds that are going to affect us compared to other people. And for us, it actually becomes a savings. So, but like I said, I just want to make sure that that was brought out, that is something that's different in case somebody looked at it and was thinking that that was current.
Thank you. And that was kind of it for the highlights and questions. Anyone have any questions on anything within the audit from last year? Okay. You can always call me if you guys have a question or email me. Moving on we're doing evidence-based funding. And Denny, do you guys have any questions for Denny before I let him? He needs to get back for it. Okay. Thank you, Denny. For evidence-based funding, we'd asked, and this is part of our goals, is to have a sheet, and I'll release something to the public this week with our notes. We didn't receive any increase in EBF this year. The amount stayed flat. And as I said last month, it stayed flat because of the federal grants that were given that allowed it to stay flat. But good news for us, it didn't decrease, which is what we were worried about. So although there was no increase in EBF, there was no decrease, which was positive news for us. We had implemented several new programs last year with last year's increase that we're still continuing. So our STEM education, what we've done with technology and some of the curriculum, what we've done with the bubble students and our RTI and personnel, that's all still continuing. We're able to still continue to do those with the EBF funding we have. But there were some of the things that were one-time expenditures that we don't need now. It opens up. So like the purchase of the ELA curriculum, That was a purchase we did last year in a bulk for 5 years, maybe 6. Well, that opens up some funding through curriculum this year, and we did, after, I think, 3 years now trying, finally got a 6th through 8th science curriculum that is next-gen aligned. It's the Pearson Elevate series. So thank you to all the teachers and admin that were part of that committee and helped choose that. It was a lengthy process of trial of many different curriculums, so we thank them for that. But we now have, with that science edition, in addition to math and ELA, all 3 of those core subject areas are standards aligned curriculum. And then now we'll turn our attention soon to the social sciences or social studies, as that has not been touched in quite some time. So we're still on track with where we were. But that's really made possible with that EBF funding. Without it, these type of curriculum purchases would not be possible. Something we've done last year, and continued in terms of how we were structuring the RTI, with the retirement of Amy Forby in the spring, it did create a vacancy that we filled with Mrs. Lauren Fiss from the intermediate school. She'll fill in to work with both Harmony and MG. But we were able to work out a deal with Mrs. Forby to stay a couple days here and there, and put in some hours in consulting for professional development, as well as Janet Brinkman, as a retired teacher, for additional RTI resources and support. So a couple people we thought who had retired, we were able to convince to provide a little extra support to both teachers and to students. So we're happy to have some type of deal, and that's all funded through either some EBF, but a lot of that's actually through grant money as well, whether it's title or some of it in the CARES Act, but we're happy to have them on board still. So that's really the highlights in terms of what we've done with EBF this year. Are there any questions on that? Phase reopening progress. We had Ellis start with our pre-K, K 1 and 2 last week, and we had Harmony and MG, and then Ellis 3rd grade start this week. I know the principals will probably talk about it a little bit in their report, so I'm not going to steal their thunder, but let's just say it's great having kids in the building again on a more regular basis, so it's been going very well. We had several kids today that I talked to that, and I'd heard from that they didn't want to go home. The day went really, really quick, and I asked, can I just stay and hang out? I wish, but not right now. But it's been good. It's been good seeing students again. I know the teachers are happy, but I really can't thank, and hopefully our teachers spread the word that we can't thank our teachers enough for all they've been doing in terms of the remote times and now with the hybrid, and then soon moving back into our original reentry plan. So thank you to all of our staff and parents and everybody for what we're doing. Digital Equity Grant, really excited about this. I had applied a few months ago towards the end of the summer. They opened up a state grant process and an RFP for digital equity. I did submit Harmony's application in and grant in, and we were accepted. Around 200 schools, I think 200 were accepted. And the nice thing is this opens up about $70,000 for the purchase of Chromebooks and hotspots. So I have an additional 345 Chromebooks coming in. Hopefully it'll get here by 2022 at this rate. We're still waiting on 150 Chromebooks that we ordered in April. The company, and this is a nationwide issue, I searched with the Illinois Learning Technology Center for different vendors. They said you're not going to have any different results. The price we have with CompuType's vendor has been great. The fact is the Chromebooks are all caught up in the Chinese trade war. So there were literally ships that were turned around at the port and sent back to China with millions of Chromebooks that were bound for U.S. students. So I believe ours are caught up in that. They were supposed to be here by no later than September, then definitely by the beginning of October, and now they're just saying we have no idea when they're coming. Nobody does. So we have 150 from last year coming, 345 from this year that we've ordered. I wish I could give a time frame, but I can't. So we're making do until then. Hopefully we have enough to squeak by, but it's going to be close. And that's it for me.
Thank you very much. Principal's reports. Ms. Coons.
So today was a super exciting day. We got kids back in our building. I will say that Mr. Deeds did warn me, and I had walked through about the number of kids to be able to socially distance and keep safe. We had them all in here, and it was a lot less kids than I guess what I had pictured in my head. The kids blew me away. From the second that they got onto the bus, off of the bus, came into the building, they followed every single rule. I could not speak more highly of them, more highly of our teachers. If you walked up and down our hallways the morning before school started, teachers were so excited. There was a buzz in the building. We had teachers buying balloons. They were so excited. They were setting it outside of their door, just welcoming kids. So it was all of the reasons that I got into education happened this morning. So I can't speak highly enough about how hard of work that our teachers, like how much that they have put into this, getting kids back in and welcoming them. It was a fantastic first day. I could not have expected anything more. To talk a little bit about some of those things, I do want to mention, kind of staying on the tune of teachers going above and beyond. Mrs. Steigerwald and Mrs. March have started a book club again, which is one of my favorite clubs that we offer here at school, and it is so awesome that they are able to continue to offer that, even though we have kind of scaled back a lot of the things that we have done for kids this year. I applaud them for going above and beyond and continuing to find ways to offer kids opportunities. The other thing that I want to talk a little bit about is our IMSA program, because as we're all very well aware, we strive to offer as many programs as we possibly can for our kids. So Mrs. Thompson has figured out a way we kind of put our heads together and came up with a plan to continue to allow IMSA to be taught. So we do have our IMSA kids coming on A schedule, and IMSA is taking place on B schedule. Right now it's 100% virtual, so that way we could continue to offer it to all of our kids at the exact same quality without, piling too much on or pulling kids out of core subject areas. So I applaud her for helping me, come up with that plan. The other thing that I wanted to say is shout out to our transportation department. We have been throwing things at them left and right, whether it is bringing in our at-risk students when we are in full remote, and here's a schedule for that, and then here's an A schedule, and here's a B schedule, and here's an A and B schedule. And things have been changed up and down, and they have absolutely rocked it, all the way down to me getting the seating charts for all of my buses today before any of my kids step foot on it. So props to them.
Thank you.
You are good.
I'm not sure I have anybody left to say.
Sorry. I was so excited.
Don't believe Betty.
Never shot.
Dr. Griffith?
Well, I just want to thank the administrative team. They've been very supportive as we've phased our way through the school year so far. I couldn't ask for a better group than, Terry and Krista and Dave to work with. And they've just been so supportive and so helpful in planning. And it's just great to work with a group like that. It's made for a smoother start to the school year. As we've transitioned now from remote to hybrid
Yeah.
We are like dragging the little tricycles.
So if you guys haven't been by Ellis in a while, into the back area, you see, if you want to come by and see the solar panel setup too over there, but in the back corner, we've been building up over the years, a little pre-K area behind the pre-K playground where there's an actual tricycle track that they go on, so it looks a lot better now than when it did, and so thank you to Mitchell for putting those in, but there's some stop signs and other cool things around it, and it does look really neat, but if you get a chance in terms of what the pre-K, you guys remember from even 5-6 years ago to what it looks like now, it's a really neat setup back there, and so we're pretty proud of that area.
What's Mitchell's last name?
Mitchell, thank you. Appreciate it. Congratulations on your project.
Well, those are very, very exciting reports. Thank you. Okay, committee reports, policy committee. Mr. Sanders.
We did the second reading of trespass update number 104, first reading of trespass update 105.
No, 105 is almost exclusively dealing with the Title IX changes in the law update, so it's, actually, I don't think there was a single policy change in there that wasn't related to Title IX, so we'll have that, and I know Mrs. Lunds and myself will be doing some Title IX training this month, right?
Yes.
Can't wait.
So excited.
Thank you.
Yeah, so finance committee, Mr. Phillips.
Finance was pretty basic. A lot of it was just kind of going over the budget itself. It was a relatively pretty short meeting since we had already talked about the budget before, so.
Okay.
Yeah, those committee meetings were like, I don't even know that they were double-digit time-wise. They were quick. We were efficient. Comments by board members. Rochelle, did you want to start?
Sure. I was thinking, I was making myself some notes to remember what I'm like. I'm just jumping on the like rah-rah bandwagon. And, I know that, I mean, I've said it before, we all know that you can't make everyone happy with any decision. And I know just there's some talk about that we don't do live teaching, like some of the other districts, but talking not $5, you're talking cost of thousands of dollars. That affects our budget. So I think that needs to be communicated more online, and I think you'll get less frustration out of the parents. Because that was one of the big things in communication. I think people feel that we're withholding a lot of information, and it's kind of like, no, it's out there. I don't think they know exactly where to look. And I think if we educate them, put them in that business, it's kind of like, okay, this is what we're working with, I think maybe more understanding. So that was like, a couple things. And thank you, Ms. Kramer, for bringing up that social and emotional support stuff. A lot of parents could have remote learners, it's frustration all around. Kids are frustrated, parents are frustrated. So I think the whole emotional thing, I think that.
We're also looking at providing, we're also looking at, we just like kind of mentioned that we're going to be providing social emotional training to parents too. We're looking at once a month on our virtual sign in. I just got confirmation with parents that we do it each month moving forward. So we'll look at a parent focused one,
And I think that is fantastic, because I think a lot of parents are at their wits' end, especially if they have more than one child at home. And technology, that's another big issue. I know I have hotspot, a lot of Chromebook issues, a lot of drop connections, a lot of I can't log in here, whatever. So there's some teachers who are dealing with that. That's, and I get on their side too, because a lot of these kids, like I said, the two working parents, or just the one parent working, a lot of frustration going with the loved one, that's probably a grandparent, that's not watching the line, so it's kind of rough, trying to explain the school classroom. So I think, I was talking to another parent, and we were kind of kicking around the idea, I don't know if PTO would be open, if they have a Facebook page, of putting together like a parent-teacher, like a page or something, whereas if you have like password lockouts or whatever, or if you're doing work in Google Classroom or something, and you're having trouble, maybe another parent or a teacher that's off the log or something reading, they can share the information, well, this is what I did. So that way it kind of helps alleviate the phone calls to the school. So that's just an idea. Other than that, really like Mitchell's idea of his scout project, really cool. Like the technical stuff, can't children, always awesome for them to learn the rules of the road together. Other than that, I think we're doing good. Just push forward.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Eric?
Just about 7 months now, I guess it's been, since everything that we thought was normal kind of turned on its head. And slowly we're getting back to what we perceived as normal. And huge thanks to Dave and your staff and all the teachers and everyone else that's been able to pull things together for the most part, keep everything positive.
Dr. Anderson?
I ditto what everyone else said. I want to congratulate the scout. I like to congratulate kids when they do things. And I just noticed just, like Eric, it's just some tough times. And it's real nice to know, or good to know, that this district is doing what it can to accommodate parents, students, and everyone around, because, no one has the answer to what we're dealing with right now. I was with some educators, retired educators, today on the golf course. All of us are glad that we're retired. And then when I see kids, and even my grandson who was at West, he wants to go to school. That's new. He never did, that computer, the work that the kids are doing, it's not easy for them either. And then, they're struggling, and I can't help it, something, but how can you do PE on the computer? But they're doing it. So, kudos, keep it up. Thank you.
I think just hearing hearing everyone, I of course agree. And you know, sometimes if we try to find a silver lining in the situation, it's that we take things for granted, right? And seeing the kids finally back in person, and you realize what we're all working for. And even the kids, they do miss school, they don't want to leave. So I think it's wonderful that things are getting back to normal, and we don't take things for granted anymore. So thank you to the admin team and the teachers and those parents and the students and everyone.
And as far as I'm concerned, one thing that I got to say is I understand the teachers, all the headaches you guys have got to be going through with all the remote learning. My wife being a teacher, I kind of see a lot of the stress that she's going under. And I really appreciate you for taking all the time, trying to become an IT person at times, and all the other headaches that you guys have to deal with. I know it isn't easy, and I'm glad you guys have been able to do it. So I think that's something that's really great. And the other thing I'd say is I know my son, he was glad to finally be in the classroom with kids. With my wife being a teacher, her district is still on full remote, so he had been going with her, sitting in her classroom and having his remote class within that. But he was glad to finally come back and be with other kids and stuff. And also, as far as our change in our food service, today he came home for his first time, and he was all excited about his lunch. And it was one of the few times, like before, he rarely ever would get to school lunch. And now he wants nothing but it. He came off the bus and he had the packets for tomorrow. And it's like, okay, yeah, he can't wait for breakfast and everything else that was with it. So it was something that was really nice to see that change in him from where, like I said, he rarely ever wanted the school lunch. Now he's excited about it. So I think we did a good job in making that change.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that's being said today. I am just so proud of just the innovation that our teachers and staff and administration and Dave, everything that they're showing in transportation and just the ways of like, okay, let's rethink this. Let's do this differently. How are we going to, instead of just reading a book, we're going to drop an egg, apparently, and break it for the kids and scar them for life. How can we see these videos? I am so thrilled.
Like and share.
Okay, please do. Afterwards, we'll have to project it. But I love, I think it shows how strong of a teaching staff that we have, because they are willing not to just do what they've always done and like slap it online, but they are willing to rebuild, recreate, making videos, having the Google Meets. I remember during orientation, all the teachers were like, oh, well, you don't have to log in. You don't have to come to the Google Meets, like taking the pressure off, right? All the kids are on those Google Meets, and they are excited for them because the teachers are making them exciting, and they're finding ways to connect the students with each other. And I just am so grateful to be a part of this district and of what we are doing, because I think that our students, my kids, are benefiting so tremendously. And I think as parents, we are benefiting by what they are doing to kind of help us, to come alongside of us. And I think that we've been given a really great opportunity to see what our teachers are doing, for parents to kind of understand what's going on. I feel that way. I feel like I'm just now understanding how my kids learn, what they're learning, what the hurdles are. I never understood it to the extent that I do now. And I've been so thankful for that. It has been incredibly stressful. We all know, we all are struggling, for sure. But I do agree with Shannon that with the silver lining, with us really seeing in a pandemic, we are working hard and we are overcoming and we are really creating great learners and great future, with the kids, like being resilient, and we're teaching them that, and I'm just so proud. I'm so very, very proud. And Dave, we have had many, many phone calls, and I'm so thankful for you. I'm so thankful for your leadership of our district, and I love you all. Thank you. It's been great. So, moving on to the fun part, right? I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes, payroll and bills, treasurer's report, and destruction of closed session audio.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez? Yes. Mrs. Pershbacher, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Douglas?
I need a motion to adopt the budget resolution and the budget for the 2020-21 school year as presented.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Thank you, Denny, for informing us and putting together such a great budget. Roll call.
Mrs. Lopez? Yes. Mrs. Pershbacher, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Douglas? Yes. Mrs. Keys?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the seniority list for the 2020-21 school year.
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, the one in your actual packet has been updated, so I gave you the updated list. There's a couple notations in there. This list, it's required that we have a seniority list posted every fall. I hate to say this list doesn't matter, but ever since Senate Bill 7, it really doesn't. The big list that is the seniority list combined with the groupings is the RIP list that comes out in February. However, this list that you guys have helps create that list in terms of what is the seniority and rankings as we put them into groups. But the RIP list is a big one, but we do have to have this one. And I appreciate Susan Capone and Krista Eckert, teachers that helped from the union side. There were some changes we need to make and some things that Renee and I noted and made corrections for moving forward. So you guys have the updated seniority list, and then probably earlier this year you'll get the RIP list because we have the MOU that we're not doing, the evaluations are on hold for this year. Next year it defaults to rankings that they had before, and so I'll be able to put that list really anytime now.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Pershbacher, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Douglas? Yes. Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez?
Yes. Okay. I need a motion to approve the updates to board policy as outlined in Press Update 104.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Douglas? Yes. Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez? Yes. Mrs. Pershbacher, yes.
I need a motion to approve the Harmony Intermediate School Improvement Plan for the 2020-21 school year.
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, so this is a couple years in a row we've done this now, and we automatically qualified, this year I would say qualified is the word, but received this. There was no IAR testing last spring, so it automatically defaulted to the IAR test in 2019. And so all those scores have just rolled over. So thank you to Ms. Luntz and the Harmony staff for putting together the plan. You guys have it in your packet, but we have to have that plan that's approved to submit the school improvement grant, which up to this year is $30,000. That we use for Harmony Intermediate and really targeting the RTI MTSS system as well as special ed as the students with disabilities is the group that was identified for the grant and in the scores. So we put the money into those categories.
Roll call.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Douglas? Yes. Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez? Yes. Mrs. Pershbacher, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
I need a motion to approve the resignation of the following at-will employees. Lynn Barber, a library aide at Ellis. Aaron Gordon, RTI aide at Ellis. Monique Lester, a bus driver. Deborah Custer, a bus aide.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
When does these go take place?
I believe all of them are either have happened or,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, most of them are all expected to be here. Roll call.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Douglas? Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez? Yes. Mrs. Pershbacher, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
I need a motion to approve Melissa Mayberry as a district nurse pending successful Illinois required certification.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Hopefully anytime. We've been waiting to hear from Illinois and the state for some time now. We originally interviewed her and offered her almost a month ago. She has the credentials that we need, just the state has to issue the certification, and that's all we're waiting on. So as soon as we get that word, she's ready to go, and until then, Ms. Weir's still there, and if we need to, if she's out, Mrs. Mathis would step in and help out, but she's ready, we're ready, we just need state to stamp it. Say good.
Roll call.
Mrs. Douglas? Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez? Mrs. Kirschbacher, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
I need a motion to approve Brittany Keys as Ellis Kitchen Manager effective August 17th, 2020.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, this is my fault, I really should have had this done in the last board meeting, so it would be kind of retroactive. We had the Ellis kitchen manager had resigned over the summer, and so Brittany stepped in and really has done a very nice job so far, and really, they're working extremely hard. So, scared me a little bit. So she's been doing a great job, and that she's been doing this since the beginning of the year. So I missed this in August, that was my fault.
Roll call.
Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez? Mrs. Kirschbacher, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Douglas?
I need a motion to approve Cameron Peppert as a special education teacher at Harmony Intermediate effective October 19th, 2020.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. I believe she's here.
She is. So, Carrie, you want to talk?
Yeah, currently she is Anna Strupart, maternity sub. She does a phenomenal job. We'll be very sad to have her with Ellis, but we're super excited to keep her in the district family. I have nothing but wonderful things. She's a hard worker. She'll represent our district really well. So welcome to welcome again.
Welcome with benefits. Roll call.
Mrs. Lopez? Yes. Mrs. Kirschbacher, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Douglas? Yes. Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Welcome.
Welcome.
It's official.
I need a motion to approve the succession of authority when the principals are not in the building for Ellis Elementary, Mr. Matt Todd, for Harmony Intermediate Center, Ms. Leslie Wadwa, and for MJ Junior High, Ms. Krista Eckert.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, this is for emergency situations. We do this every year. We have a succession of authority. The teachers know, secretaries would know. But typically, rarely would we all be out of district. So the first call, if it's at Ellis, would be over to John, Krista, and vice versa. They'll help each other out first. But there are occasions when we need someone to step in with, from a teacher standpoint. And they've all done it in the past, so we're blessed.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Kirschbacher, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Douglas? Yes. Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez?
Okay, building use requests, there are none due to COVID plans. So items for consideration with the old business, we did discuss a storage unit, and I know that last month it was more expensive than we expected, but
Yeah.
Rob had the great idea to break up the parts.
To turn me into a general contractor. So
Yes.
I'm working on it. It's been, so in the finance committee, and actually the other board in general seemed kind of in favor of moving on and trying to get it under the $50,000. The price came out to about $63,000 from Jun. I do think in pricing everything out separately and being really the general contractor, hiring Jun, who does concrete, to do the concrete foundation, and kind of getting all the drainage set. I saw several companies that have pre-fabbed pole barns or storage sheds that we can order from, have a general contractor assemble them. I'm not going to ask our guys to assemble a 40 by 40 foot barn. And then have Belclair Electric, who does all of our electric, do any of the wiring. So I do think I can get it under, but I'm trying to get individual bids now from multiple companies to see it. It's just been really busy and trying to get the schools restarted. That this has taken a back burner, but shortly, soon, I'll try to get those storage units. We can have it before the year ends.
The storage building that you had initially recommended, Rob suggested one actually bigger, right?
It just depends upon whether you get
I
taller.
mean, going
Yeah.
taller and all that. So, I mean, you were looking at, when you first presented but you were talking about a smaller one then, so. it had-
Smaller, and that was without electric.
And now this has been enhanced, so, you know, the extra cost is sort of,
And I still think I can do it. It might be a little smaller than 40 by, I think, 32 or whatever the dimensions were, by 16. It might be a little bit smaller, but not much. I mean, we're doing it because storage long-term, we always have an issue with. So,
well, I just figured that was a rationale for the cost being low,
yeah,
since it was bigger than.
Yeah, going up in size though is not gonna be.
the
that
height
much
wasn't an
different.
issue. Yeah, it was the footprint itself was really.
Yeah, the footprint's what's gonna eat up the most of the costs. If you start looking at height,
Okay.
usually one building like that, just a few thousand more to go a few feet higher.
All right.
Yep. Yeah, it wasn't, the height was, it was a couple more thousand. But the general size was the biggest one. A lot of movement.
We got all kind of noise going on around here. Casper to leave us alone.
Yeah, just shut, it's okay.
Just close.
We're good.
Okay.
Nobody else.
So under new business, Dave handed out this COVID positive results communication home. We thought it was, there's a few different ways we can go about notifying families, and we just wanted to make sure that the communication, that we're being open, as Mandy had said, open, transparent, as best as we can be, while also protecting HIPAA rights, to our families. So this is a letter that Dave has drafted. I don't know if you had a chance to read it. It was electronic.
I sent electronic last week as well.
Yes, so we've had this, but I think the big thing here is that we were looking at identifying the school, so MG or Harmony or Ellis, period. Not diving into classrooms, grades, anything like that to protect the students. I think that was,
Yeah, so really the big issues come down to just how you guys as a board want us to handle it. I was actually, I wouldn't say, I was surprised when Sinclair and we met as a group of superintendents a few weeks ago, how split the entire county was in terms of, are we notifying families or not if there is a COVID positive case? Many schools, and I would say, and Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but even firms are split on whether you can or should notify the public. We put safety precautions in place to prevent spread, and we have seating charts, we're doing distancing measures. So the thought from some was, well, are you creating an unnecessary panic or fear by not disclosing it? And then there's the other side of being transparent that, hey, there's a case at this school. We cannot and we will not give any identifying information in terms of if it's a boy or if it's a girl, what classroom, what grade. We won't do that. But what we can give, as I put in the letter, if the school, there was a case, it's been handled, if you are someone affected, and with that close proximity, you will be notified. I mean, that's part of the contact tracing from the county. So the two theories of thought is we don't say anything in a normal year. We're not saying anything now you're going to find out anyways. You're going to hear from someone. And then the school is withholding information. So there's two ways, and even as an admin team, we kept going through the pros and cons. I said, you know what? I really think this needs to come to you guys and represent the community of what you would like us as administrators, because there is. I mean, let's face it, there's a high chance that at some point there will be a COVID positive case. As both board members, but more importantly as parents, and that's the shoes that we went from as well. I know Terry and I we kept going back and forth of, do we need to know? Do we want to know? How would we know? Really want to leave it up to you guys in discussion of what would your preference be as both programs and parents for us as administrators in moving forward with a letter like what I sent you and a communication like what I sent you, or nothing.
I would rather know. And as a board member, I would rather know. Because I would deal with the negativity of exactly what you said. Us finding out
some of those things are by law and mandated you have to.
Right, right. So there used to be notified and still maintaining the student's privacy and student's privacy. So in some regard, they're used to being notified of some type of thing that could, not as much fear as COVID, obviously, but, I don't know personally. My other question, which I probably should know already, is if we're identifying one school or the other with a school sharing the building, two schools sharing the building, are they doing separate lunches? Like, are they,
Well, MG doesn't eat lunch.
oh yeah, they go all the way out.
Yeah.
So are they not crossing boundaries from one building to the other? Because if they are, then this needs to be identified as one school.
As one campus.
You know, because if you
Very,
say,
well, the only time it would be for very brief, I would say yes and no, would be going out, either going outside or going into crossing the 30, 40 feet here into the gym. But otherwise they don't work take classes, they stay in their class. So they really are separate.
so that would be my own.
Yeah, but that's something that we'll need, I think we'll need to take situationally, if we feel that there could have been a cross, to notify both. And that's, along this line, if we're sending it out to MG and send it out to Harmony, say there was a student at MG Junior High, I do think it's still different because some people might think, well, what if it's in their class or what if it's in the group? I don't know. There's no mixing of classes in MG and Harmony. So, but that's something we can certainly look at. And I think we'll have to do situationally to see if there could have been a cross.
I would even, as a second thought, I would even, if we adopt this letter for the policy, I would even maybe in your minutes to the parents of, your summary of the meeting, say that we have a letter in place so that they.
Well, yeah, this will be communicated. If this is what we're doing, and we have, because even Terry asked, well, in her original letter going out to LSU started last week, I said, take anything out of how we're going to communicate, so we don't know yet. And so we will communicate that, but I wanted to hear from you guys, preference first.
I think we have a responsibility to notify. This is a pandemic, it's a contagious situation. The last thing we want is for them to find out from somewhere else, because they're going to find out. So it's the best thing to do is just be upfront and tell them. And as long as they know that we're doing the things that we should do. COVID has happened in the White House. So, we can't do much better than them. So, but I think we're doing as well as we can. And I'm a parent. If anyone, you're all the parents. I'm the only one who's going to have a parent at this school. And, my kids are grown. Anyway, I don't think we have anything but a responsibility but to notify.
So is anyone in objection to sending anything out?
This is a good letter. We don't share the personal information, but to let them know that that's happening.
You guys are good? Okay.
Fantastic.
Any legal reason I cannot do that letter?
If there is, we'll talk about it later, not open session.
All right. That's it for me.
Okay. Well, thank you. Public and employee comments? We haven't had public, so come on.
Norm's waiting. He's dying to sign.
The last virtual meeting, I didn't say anything, and people checked on me.
I think that was Michelle.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the board for the new buses. I tell you what, it's nice to be transporting students in them now, not just food, but we're glad to have the students back. And I'll tell you of a heartwarming experience, first day of school over at Ellis, and the little boy that used to come up and say, "Hi, Mr. Busman," last year came up to me and said, "Hi, Mr. Busman, I missed you," and that really kind of touched my heart. So, but there's a lot of people that, I appreciate the words of appreciation that our department received. I appreciate a lot of people. I always get support from Mr. Dietz and from the people, from Renee and Susan in his office. If we need something and I go in and talk to them, I'd get a response. The three principals here and their folks, Chris and Emily and Miss Bates and Nikki are always very helpful. If I ask a question, they get me the answer. We've got a great team here. And when we were working with the food, the people in the kitchen staff worked with our drivers and monitors so that we got the right number of lunches on the buses. And if we didn't have enough to come back, I'd call them and they'd have them ready when we got back. I really appreciate the teamwork that we have here in this district, the people working together. And I also want to thank you for approving the company that we went with the buses. I was telling Mr. Dietz and Dennis the other day, the last 2 years I kept a record that when we sent a bus in for repairs at Midwest Transit, the average length of time that they had a bus was 8 days. The new company hasn't had one over 24 hours. Some of them they get back the same day. They come pick them up, and sometimes they bring them back the same day, but if they don't, they're back the next day. So we're getting excellent service, which makes my job a lot easier. So just wanted to share those things.
Yeah, just each reminder, the new buses aren't breaking. We have some loaner buses, because our smaller buses are still not in, so we still have.
Yeah, the situation was with our small buses, the General Motors plant was shut down for a period of time due to the COVID-19, and so they didn't get the chassis built. So in order to meet their contractual obligations, the company is loaning us some trade-in buses that they look brand new. They had them all polished up for us and cleaned inside and out, but obviously they're used buses, so they experienced some of the same problems that we experienced last year with the used buses we had. But the service we're getting on those is excellent. So.
And exciting too, I noticed that the last week or so, when it was beautiful and 70 degrees outside, Mr. Norm was outside quite a bit working on the bus, but we got our new storage tank in too. And I don't know if you guys saw that, but the storage tank it's up and running and operational. And just, I know from my standpoint, and part of my job is the liability aspect of having that many buses that are big buses not have to go to our gas stations locally on tight areas and competing for spots to fill up, and we can just circle around here and fill up. It sets my mind. I know it a lot of these. It's just a lot more convenient for them, and the price we worked out for the gas has been great. So thanks for getting that set up too. And that went in very smoothly, but it's nice having our own on-site storage now.
By the way, there's two reasons he sees me out there. Number one, that beautiful weather, I like to get out of the office once in a while. And I know the budget's a little tight this year, so if I do it, we don't have to pay somebody else to do it. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for all the kind words in this partnership. And I just feel we always keep those clear, those here to support, and you guys
Because I forgot to thank one person that, like, really, my kids are excited. Mr. B and the math singer. Like,
Yes.
such a, I mean, like, for real, Martin runs in and says, it's ready, and like, our whole family gathered around to watch it. And he's posted on Facebook, and I know other teachers have, like, jumped on, so that's just another example. The only one we missed was the schluck.
There was one that sounded very much like, because Renee asked us, did you do this? I'm like, oh my God, that does sound like me. And it wasn't me. No, I did not do it. Because I heard Terry's video and I'm like, no way, I'm confused. But we do. We have some really, really good singers. We have some that work on it. But to do it, I was like really, I mean, it was really fun. Really impressed to go out there and have fun. And no, I did not subject anybody to that torture. I'm good. No, nobody wants that.
I just wanted to say thank you to the board and the administrators for allowing the opportunity to continue working with the district as my time at Ellis comes to a sad end. And also thank you to Ms. Kramer and all the teachers that are here and not here that have helped. You know, it's been kind of a crazy year being a first-year teacher out of school, and it's really been so supportive with all the first-year teacher things like how to work a copier, laminator, and all that stuff. And also
well, we already have
Cross that out, yeah.
the audit, so that's off the list. We'll have the report cards. Then in November, we'll have tentatively approve the 2020 tax levy, and then December, approve the tax levy. Donuts with Santa? We're hoping.
Well, I just put on a quick, we haven't made any decision yet because with everything changing so rapidly, we don't know. So I didn't want to just cancel it off for December. That's, in COVID terms, that's a lifetime away. In fact, we're meeting as a conference right now about winter sports, and right now, winter sports aren't canceled. But if we can do basketball, and we can do cheerleading, we want to provide those opportunities, and we want to do them safely. But we're waiting some guidance from IHSA, from SIJHSAA. I got all those right in the alphabet conference. But if we can do things and we can provide opportunities, that's something I think we've always been very proud of in our district, that we might only have 800 or so kids, but the amount of opportunities that we provide is top notch. And so as much as that we can continue, we want to. But even in the absence of providing things, we've had teachers and Mr. Bauer work out and our coaches of doing virtual. Google Classroom for baseball and softball. And so if we can provide things, we will. But the extracurriculars and the clubs that we provide, if we can do them, we'll do them. If we have to postpone a little bit. So right now, winter sports are not off the table. And so things like Donuts with Santa, if there's a creative way that we can come up with doing it, we'll do it.
We're gonna get to celebrate Halloween, so we're gonna get creative, we'll still wear our costumes, and we'll parade around. We're gonna talk about creativeness, I think Chris and I were so excited today we met. We're gonna get creative, and still have Halloween festivities, it's not a party, but we're still gonna let kids have some fun, they'll get to dress up, so we'll have to wear their masks, but neck down. So we're super excited getting creative,
Yeah, this will be the first year our Halloween costumes, they have to wear a mask. It worked out perfect.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
A lot of ninjas.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry to bring this merriment to an end, but it's raining. There's a pause in the rain. I need a motion to go into closed session for the purposes of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in an educational setting, or specific volunteers of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in an educational setting, a volunteer of the district, or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase and Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this act. And litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular district has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the district finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis of the finding shall be recorded and entered into the closed meeting minutes.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Douglas?